What up, Wolfpack? Thought I'd introduce everyone, people who are interested in the same mindset as such. Been busy for the last couple of weeks. So yesterday I had a meeting with other breathwork facilitators, so today I just want to talk about that. Things are going good, going fast. Pretty good pace, I'd say. Got an earpiece that I got from the iPhone. Hopefully this helps with the background noise and stuff like that. If not, I'll keep working on that. But in regards to the breath work, I know it sounds woo-woo. It sounds out there, hippie kind of thing. But the amount of impact it's had on a lot of people, and I just see this as the gateway to whatever issues you may be dealing with, and hopefully you can help deal with, right? Like for example, my nephew, he suffers from ADHD or ADD, undiagnosed, but he says he's constantly in his head. You can have a conversation with him about cars, and he's going to be thinking about, birds and work and, is the girlfriend, wife, whatever, what's going on with that and school. And after doing the breathwork session with him, he says he couldn't get in his own head. He felt so at ease. And for several days, he slept really well as well. Another one is a friend of mine. We went on overseas together in Afghanistan. He lost his leg and through an IED, improvised explosive device, bomb. Lost his right leg. Almost lost him twice on the operating table. Put the tourniquet, all that stuff on him, and then flew him out. But he says for the last few years, his anxiety was at like 7, 8 out of 10. After the breathwork session, he felt good, but then he was noticing how it kept getting better and better, and just his anxiety, he says it went down after, I'd say maybe half hour. He says it went down to like 3, 4. That was just one session. He was pretty uncomfortable. He was laying on the couch. His dog was on his lap, kind of thing, and he just or by his legs, or his leg, I should say. But he felt like it would have been better if he was in the bed, more like flat, more comfortable. But he says he probably would have had even a bigger impact. So down the road, we'll try doing that. He just told me, man, he's like, hey Jose, I really want to do this, try this breathwork session with you, and just my anxiety's up. And months before, I brought it up wanting to do it, and he's like, nah, I don't need to do that, right? I'll just do my own thing, right? I'm like, okay. I didn't push it, obviously, but now he's like, I'm glad at least I planted that seed, and then he's gotten so much better from it. He's spoken to his therapist, I believe, about it. She was really stoked about it. So glad that he's doing a little better. But now he kind of has an idea how to deal with things, right? I did it with my mom and my sister and her family. My sister got a really positive emotion out of it. She was crying, but she felt that she was just a lot of things going through her head, and just she seemed content, right? Gets a lot of questions answered. I don't know. I didn't dig. My mom, she was in tears, which put me in tears. But she, when she was younger, she was 15 when, I believe 15, when she lost her father, my grandfather. And she felt like, it was completely distraught with her. And, my mom tells a story where for days, weeks. My mom was distraught, depressed, all that stuff. And, because she missed her father, which, it's understandable, obviously. But her mom, my grandmother, basically knocked some sense into her and said, "You think you're the only one suffering? I lost my best friend." She's like, "You have to go get to work." She grew up on the farm. It's like, every day's a Monday. Keep going, right? And from then, my mom doesn't stop. She's 75, going on 76, and she's a workhorse. She keeps going. She doesn't stop. We try to get her to relax. She doesn't. But she's also in her happy place when she does so. But that being said, after the breathwork session, she, during the guided meditation, she felt like she was there with her father on his bed, and she was there with him. And she looked at me, and she was with her mom as well. Her mom, my grandmother, passed away as well about 4 or 5 years ago. 96, I believe, years old. But going through this meditation, she saw both of them. And she looked at me, she's like, "Thank you so much for that." She was able to, I guess, reconnect with her dad again, and just that, 5-10 minutes of that meditation, she felt like just at ease, right? So that could be that one thing that's bothering her, right? There's the other day I did another session with some friends who it's important to be at a relaxed position, because one of the persons, Justin's name, he was lying down, but wasn't a really comfortable mat, like one of those gym mats, those rubber ones for deadlifts and stuff like that people use, but wasn't a comfortable mat. But his back was bothering him, so he wasn't really 100% in it. But he says he felt afterwards. He says he felt pretty relaxed, which is good. But his girlfriend, Mina is her name. She had a really emotional connection with her past self when it came to talking about gratitude and stuff like that. She became more upset about gratitude. I didn't ask why. What's wrong? You shouldn't be upset. No, it's something for her to deal with, right? At least she has an idea of what could be bothering her, right? That's all, right? I mean, if she wanted to share, we'll talk, right? We can figure out solutions. That's fine, right? There's no rush. But now okay, this is what my one could be 1,000 other issues, right? But at least one issue, right? But she felt good afterwards, right? There's another one. I'm trying to think. My niece felt, she had a bit of emotional roller coaster, but she felt good about it. My brother-in-law, he says he didn't have any emotions or any, I guess, past experiences. I don't want to say trauma, but nothing like that. But he says he felt like relaxed. He passed out, like slept, not from passing out, not being able to breathe or anything like that. He felt extremely relaxed and like literally fell asleep. My nephew, same thing, passed out. He's 11 years old, and he just knocked out, slept. So I think with this breath work, it's a big, I think it needs to be pushed more, because a lot of people are running away from their issues, and I think they need to learn how to deal with their issues. Another great example is a co-worker I know, Christine, if you're listening. I couldn't believe how well she's doing. She would take certain meds. She's actually stopped taking a bunch of meds. I'm not saying it's because it's breath work, right? I did a breath work session. I did it in the car. She got a bunch of crazy animals at her house. It's hard to deal with getting a piece of quiet in that place. So the best place we could do was the car. But it worked out. She had a emotional reaction, which is fine. I've had one too. I was in tears, Niagara Falls. When they say gratitude, think of someone you're grateful for, and I thought of my mom. It's just like I couldn't stop it, right? I was like, what's this salty discharge kind of thing, right? But with Chris, she was like, I can sense that she was extremely nervous and didn't want to go into this, and just dealing with her past and things like that. She had it pretty rough growing up as a kid. I could just see, like the way she was like grabbing her hands and just really nervous and tense, right? So obviously I want to keep working on her, keep working on you. Don't worry, we're gonna get there together, okay? But she stopped seeing her therapist or psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever. She just felt like, I don't need to talk to you anymore, which is a great step. Again, I'm not saying because of breath work, but just, the whole environment is like, okay, whatever happened to you, it sucks. But you can either dwell in it or keep pushing forward, right? Life's all about trade-offs, right? The great Dr. Thomas Sowell said, right? I just think too many people are just running away, whether it's drinking, drugs, whatever, to get away from whatever it is they're dealing with is the wrong method of how they should be dealing with. So I'm going to keep obviously pushing forward with this, and hopefully it gets better and better during my method. And I want to do my level 2 and level 3, and get more in depth with the breath work. But side note, what's really progressing, a good friend of mine, Jermaine, and another breathwork facilitator, Harry. We all work for different services, but Jermaine was able to get Beyond the Blue. We're going to do a nationwide breathwork facilitation through Zoom, and he's able to get Back to Blue nationwide. So other sister, units. So like Toronto Back to Blue, Vancouver Back to Blue, etc. To basically be a part of this breathwork session, and it's going to be aired for May 17th, 6:30 p.m. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can log on. Support. It's $5 minimum donation, and you can donate as much as you want after that. I highly recommend everyone participate. Whether it's the 4 or 5 people watching this video, I highly recommend it. I think it's very important. If you get nothing out of it, that's fine. But the minimum people get so far I've dealt with is they feel completely calm afterwards, right? Which is great. So I think I hope with this method, but with the Back to Blue, we can start turning heads and making them realize, hey, maybe there's a lot more to this breath work, breathing technique that needs to be done, right? And hopefully we can incorporate it into the training, right? And it's just, some days you have, being an officer, you just have really bad days, right? And whether it's, maybe not breathing, shooting, whatever the case is, right? Homicide, just annoying people sometimes we deal with, right? Just entitled, and those are the worst. Sometimes you just want to, do a breathwork session, right? Hey, call Jose. I just need a breathwork session. You available tomorrow? Whatever, right? Yeah, I can be there for sure. Things like that, right? But I'm hoping. Well, the 3 of us are hoping this breathwork movement with Back to Blue will help a lot. We can only try. Obviously, we're going to try to keep it simple. We don't want to do anything fireworks or anything fancy. Just do what we've been doing. The product speaks for itself. It works, right? So there's no reason to change anything, right? excited. I thought I'd be nervous, but well, maybe the day of I might be a little nervous. But right now I'm just like, yeah, let's show the world, right? Yes, let's. We're all messed up. We're all messed up, right? I mean, I can only imagine how our ancestors were dealing, hunting, lions and saber-toothed tigers and etc. And it's like being attacked by all these crazy dominant animals, and it's just like they're coming back to the fire. I'm like, well, I had a really bad day today, kind of thing. So again, let's see how this works. I hope it's a lot of people are not only a lot of people, but I hope the right people as well to kind of see it, like, and they can help us increase this movement and for the better, right? So, I mean, all we can do is just try and hope for the best. I mean, if we can incorporate this for people, for first responders and veterans, not just them, but anyone else and who are suffering from PTSD and trauma, and they're hiding from it or putting it away in a box and forgetting about it. I think talking about is the biggest thing that needs to be done. Most people, when they meet me, they feel really comfortable talking to me about whatever random things, whatever issues they have. I do too. I can talk about my life story, no problem, to a complete stranger. And I guess that's makes them comfortable. I don't know. But I've noticed a lot more people lately have been flocking to me, even before I was doing this breathwork thing, which is good. I mean, if it's a gift I have, then I want to, use it and help those who need it, right? Help those who help others, right? I just, I hope it all works out in the end, but for the greater good. Like, I'm not here to make millions or anything like that. I just want to help people. Like our goal is to have a facility and things like that, and not just breathwork, but other things to incorporate, right? Like the cold plunge and things like that. I think we need to constantly be challenging ourselves daily, because the second we stop challenging ourselves, our brain just gives up. We're designed for being prepared for worst case scenarios, and if your brain is not at that pace and thinking about it, I think that's when your brain's just like, I'm done. And that's when your brain starts to deteriorate. Like, I mean, you hear like the life expectancy for a police officer after retirement is like approximately average 7 years. There's a lot of factors, right? I think I've already discussed about how it could be, the lack of adrenaline you have in your system because the amount of adrenaline we use in the line of work. It could be just the amount of stress that we're dealing with. Your body's finally relaxed, right? And it's just catching up. You age faster because of the amount of stress and things like that. So ideally I want to, and I'm pretty sure the other facilitators want to as well, is make that average 7 years to 50 years, right? So I mean, if doing the breathwork session once a year, twice a year, 3, 4, etc. times a year, once a month, depending how bad or how much you need it, right? Like that's what I want to help provide, right? I think there's like a lot to be said for guys who are on the job who've gone through the WSIB and wellness and things like that, and they don't feel like they're being helped. They feel more like as a number. And I've never personally used them, so I can't say. I've heard other people say nothing but good things about them. So I'm not here to bash them. Because obviously there are some people who take advantage of the situation. It sucks, right? But it's not fair for those who need it and then they're being fluffed off. So, like, how do you determine who needs and who doesn't, right? It's like when we deal with sex assault victims. Some of them, not all, obviously, will say things just to get back at their ex or a guy, whatever reason. They thought it was a mistake or whatever the case is, right? So they come up with this, I was sexually assaulted, and then, they throw this person's name under the mud and drag it. It's just like, Meanwhile, nothing happened, right? Obviously, there are some who are, you know, worst case scenario. I've dealt with those victims, and it's like, it's obviously, you can tell that they're completely distraught. And it's like, yeah, you're a legit victim. And I have no problem helping those people all day, right? But then there's some who are legit victims, and they kind of laugh about it, and it's like they've, like, something is triggering their brain. I don't know if it's a defense mechanism that's helped them deal with it. I don't know, but it's like, how do you, like, if this is serious, how can you know, be laughing at it? Meanwhile, it's like, it is serious, but that's how they deal with it, right? So how do you pick and choose? Like, I wish there was a tick in the box. You can determine, yeah, this is a victim, right? But you can't, right? Sometimes you can't. So it's things like that. I just hope management, obviously it's a older mentality, and there's nothing wrong with the old school mentality, but you have to be able to adapt and develop and evolve for the better. I mean, if they fluff this off, this is like woo-woo stuff, right? It just goes to where their state of mind is. If they're open to it, which is great, that's why we want to get them involved, so at least they can experience it and realize, hey, this is actually a pretty good feeling, right? And hopefully we blow up from there. Again, I'm not bashing management or anything like that. It's such a political position that they're in. It's really annoying. I hate politics because it's like left wing, right wing, same bird though, and no one's bothering to look up, right? It's just to have this issue that everyone's just fighting amongst each other, whether it's race related, sexual orientation related, gender related, you name it. Like, this tribalism mentality is destroying us as a society, specifically the West. And it's really annoying because it's like, if people just stopped and think and just spoke to the person that they're arguing with, I can guarantee you they all have the same belief system, just a different avenue, different road on how they deal with it, or how they approach to the end goal, which is fine. Trial and error, right? It works, which is what we're trying to do. It's like, hey, this could work. Let's try to implement it into the workspace, training, whatever, and just go through with it. So we'll see how this goes. Really excited about it. Again, there's going to be some people who are going to think it's very woo-woo and hippie stuff. That's fine. Go ahead. But, you know, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war. So, calm mind helps you think. And like how you hear these stories, like Miyoto Musashi, right? Musashi Miyamoto. I don't know how which is what. It's just super effective, and they meditate, and you hear it in, like, just calm mind, right? A lot of the philosophers, same thing, right? So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I think PTSD mental health is at a all-time high. I don't know. It's because the pandemic has done more harm than good, in my opinion. I mean, there's studies I've seen or read about where they had these kids in a home, and I don't know how many kids. I think they said it was around 20. And then there was one child who was closest to the light switch, and the adult there running the place, when he'd turn on and off the lights, he'd always pat the kid's head closest to the light switch. Out of all the kids turned out with some sort of mental health issues, except for that one kid closest to the light switch. It was that human touch that he got twice a day that helped him go through that. So we as humans, we're social creatures. We need to have that emotional human connection. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of men, like, we have it the worst. I know, as much as women probably would disagree, that's fine. But the amount of stuff we have on our shoulders, and we just, lift up our chin and just keep pushing through, because we have to. If we're not that, we have to be that rock to help with society. And if we're not, like, everything will collapse. And look what's happening with the West. This feminization of men, and it's completely increased. Like, the ratio was, I believe it's like 1 in every 100, people. But now it's just like, 1 in 10 or something like that. It's getting ridiculous, right? Now, is this because they're taught that you should be like this as a child, and then trying to be like that? Or is it, influence? Is it, this sense of, I want to be liked, so I'm going to play this role so I can get liked, kind of thing, right? Is it in the water? I don't know, right? But this obviously needs to change. There needs to be more push for masculinity, and it's not misogynistic to have a masculine male. And yes, there's masculine women. That's fine. It is what it is, right? That's the spectrum I understand, right? It's only two. But I'm trying to understand, like, why all this is happening the last, I don't know, 7-8 years ish. It's getting out of hand, but for the collapse of a civilization, historians have said, these civilizations have become feminized, and then poof, the collapse happens, right? So, I mean, something has to go, obviously. It's just the amount of people who disagree with it, but go along with it because it's, their job depends on it. It's like, at what point, do you say enough's enough? And I hope, I have nothing against those, those people. I'm all for it. Like, as long as what you do makes you happy, that's fine. But, it's a high suicide rate, right? So obviously that's not the problem. There's something else that's bothering you, right? So if I can help get to that, that'll be money, right? That'll be key to making all that change for the better. I think that's what we're lacking in society. Like, everyone's just trying to push forward, and which is fine to one extent, but you have to fix the issues in the past, right? To be better in the future. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know it's a lot to think about, and I can go on forever about stuff like that, but I just hope with the breath work we incorporate into the service. I hope they grasp at it and just and run with it, and let's see how it goes, right? And I hope it's obviously successful, but if it doesn't, it's not suited for whatever reason, okay, that's fine. Maybe it's not ready yet. Maybe I have to try another method. I don't know. I'm going to try to incorporate more of a motivational aspect to it. So I'm thinking about doing it in stages, where it's stage 1, we go through the breath work, go through the guided meditation, and then you find out you've had issues as a child, whatever traumas, and then you kind of deal with it. Now, I can help you deal with it, find someone else who can help you deal with it, which is fine, but I think talking about it is big key. I think the next stage, once you've solidified that thought process, okay, I want to get better, that's when more of a motivational guided meditation is what I want to do, and kind of just keep developing, get better, right? Accept those challenges, and just embrace what happened to you sucked, but show the world there's a way out, and that would basically ignite everyone else who's going through the same thing and motivate them to get better. So that's what I want to do. That's the impression I want to leave when I go. Just like, don't give up, right? Like, I mean, I had a pretty rough childhood, but in comparison to a lot of people, like mine was a cakewalk, and thank you for that, right? So I just wanna try to be that light if I can, right? I'm not here to be a savior or anything like that. Just like, I don't care if I'm popular or famous for this. It doesn't mean nothing to me. I'd rather be that silent hero, right? I'm doing it for the cause and not for the applause, essentially, right? Like when I do my job, I don't want to parade every time I help with some sort of domestic or something like that, right? Just, like, there's a lot of things that need to be done, and I just want to help people, right? That's why I signed up for it. But anyways, May 17th, 6:30 p.m. Back to Blue, OPP. There should be a link somewhere there. If not, I'll leave it in the description. We'll go from there. All right. Till next time, Wolfpack. Ow! Breathe. All right. Anything? Leave comments, likes on the video, and we'll keep going from there. All right. Take care, folks.